Hey tubers, welcome back for another adventure. We're just coming off a Stormville Flea Market weekend, and the rumors about the demise of the market and the haul. Well, the haul was a little weak. The rumors were pretty strong. So let's go through these. Let's start out with the rumors. People have been predicting the demise of Stormville for a while. They're going to put in one of those car wholesaling places, Copar or whatever it's called, in there. So that whole rumor came and went. Zoning board, I guess, wouldn't go for it. The latest rumor is it's going to become housing. You can look up the property on Zillow, the airport property on Zillow, see that it's sold, see the price that it's sold for, and move forward from there. Well, the move forward from there is supposedly the market is opened next year, and that will be it for it. If it's truly sold, it'll depend on how quickly the permitting and everything else goes through, whether or not it stays opened. Unfortunately, flea markets kind of go bad in another way also. I'm noticing a bunch of people I normally do business with. Ralph is no longer there, Tom and Sue is no longer there, and a bunch of other characters over the years that I never really caught their names, but I used to buy a lot of stuff from. These folks just aren't showing up anymore. Another guy, I bought a lot of automotive supplies. I was talking to him, I don't recall his name. And these folks live out in Connecticut, and they got really good prices for their homes. They sold off their real estate, and it gave them enough money to move further up north, New Hampshire in particular, where they could live a lot cheaper than, the tri-state area, including Connecticut, I guess the quad-state area, right? So they're just kind of cashing out and moving away. Tom and Sue had the deal that sold them their box truck, call them up, and basically buy their box truck back from them 5 years later for more or less the same price, and it had 80,000 miles on it. So it's like, yo, we took the money on the truck, we sold our house, we got a really good price on that, and they're like looking to move someplace more reasonable. Problems, COVID really hit a lot of people hard, a lot of people who deal in the flea markets hard, and that kind of made it hard to come back. And especially a lot of people in my area are now telecommuting, so you can you don't have to live in Manhattan anymore. You can live in upstate New York and go down once a week if necessary, maybe only once a month. You do everything remote, so that's causing real estate prices to go really high. Everything's selling off, and the vendors are dropping out of the market. So I hope Stormville is open next year. From my point of view, though, a lot of the people I like to do business with aren't there any longer. So it's debatable whether it's worth my time and effort to go there and get deals. Now let's talk about what I did purchase. The bottom two items did come from a guy I know, Jared, the wagon and the toolbox. I bought the toolbox from him for $10, and I was just going to heft it up on my shoulder and walk out of there, but I was kind of like looking at it going, is this the smartest thing to do? Pick that up and, do a half-mile march with it? I was thinking not. And he said, why don't you give me another $10 and buy the wagon? So I did, and it was probably a good investment. It saved me from stepping in a hole and falling down and probably breaking some more ribs. So I've been kind of picking up these toolboxes, the drawers in particular, because I'm trying to get organized. And if you can't see your stuff, you don't know what you have, and that's just a mess. So that was one purchase. The second purchase, I got this from AJ. He runs the curbs down in Westchester. So it's a full Dremel kit, including the magnifying glass, circle cutters, a whole load of attachments and all that. in the box. I gave him 10 bucks for it. Hopefully the Dremel works. If not, the collar that goes on the chuck of the Dremel, it does have that, and I do need that for another tool. So between the attachments and that collar, it puts me in good shape. The next deal was these light bulbs. I bought this for the tripod and the power supply. Supposedly it's good for 1.3 amps. No, it's good for 5 amps supposedly. Anyway, so the bag of light bulbs, he said he was after $1 on that. I mean, there's every kind of light bulbs, the miniature spin-ins, the plug-in models, flashlight light bulbs. Looks like there's a quartz halogen. It looks like, you know, somebody must have gone through a wrecking yard years and years ago. Probably still has the guy's fingerprints on him. And he disassembled a bunch of cars and took all these light bulbs out of it. I mean, you guys could see some of the bigger guys that kind of look like they could be the lamp for a motorcycle. So there's that. The tripod, one of my tripods recently came to a really tragic end, smashed to smithereens. Yeah, not quite sure what transpired there, but it was quite dead when I found it again. Attacked by a bear, I suppose. Anyway, so I needed a new tripod. This came with the camera bag also. I'm probably never going to use the camera bag. I'm going to throw it away or give it to my wife to donate. And then I mentioned this power supply, and it comes with the 12 volt standard port adapter, female adapter. So one could plug something into that. Chances are the best thing to do with this is to put alligator terminals on this and use it as a battery charger, and put alligator terminals on this so you could attach it to a battery to run some miscellaneous appliances. Anyway, you know, the flea market gig isn't as big as it used to be. I guess its real prime time perhaps was in the 1970s or 80s, maybe even into the 90s, depending where in the country you are. For my area, it really kind of peaked out in the 80s, I think. That's when a lot of my favorite ones closed. Early 90s, I guess. No, it was even after that. It must have been 2000 when Maybrook closed, 2001, 2002. The one out in Pennsylvania, just outside of Marshall's Creek, that closed. That was more recent, probably around 2010. I guess Elephant's Trunk is still there, but it's become a little posh, a little fancy for me, so I don't tend to go to that. Stormville we talked about. There's one that's kind of opened and closed around Poughkeepsie and Fishkill. That's no longer. So unless one is willing to travel a distance, and in my case that means out to Pennsylvania, Williams Grove and Morningstar, those are really the last two big ones within my range that I really go to. I have no interest in going to a flea market and buying tube socks or tchotchkes made in China, or SD type stuff. You know, it seems like a lot of flea markets are really focusing on that. I try to go to the flea market to buy more of the garage sale type stuff. Luckily, with the loss of the flea markets, I have been hitting the Hudson auction, which I find interesting. And last year I picked up a few cool things, like the Talon you're looking at as a backdrop. And also I've added the Kent Antique Machinery Show. There's a lot of garage sale-y type stuff that shows up there too. So that's the kind of stuff I like. I normally don't hit garage sales, because you either go out and find nothing, or you go out and you find 3 truckloads. And frequently you can have a bunch of weeks stacked up where you really find nothing. So I don't much care for garage sales. Musty One up there in the Great North, he seems to find a lot of cool stuff at garage sales. I just don't seem to have that luck. So that's me. Maybe they have more people that have hoarded up cool things up there, and they're trying to lighten up. Anyway, I hope you guys found this video interesting. It's always good to know what's going on for the kind of the granddaddy of one of the flea markets here in upstate New York. I have a few other projects I've been working on, but they haven't been going well. So until I sort myself on them, I really don't want to put a video up. So hopefully you'll be seeing them soon. And we're out here talking, I just finished closing a deal that was actually from Stormville. I saw the objects at Stormville, and they're going to be delivered. So that gives you an idea how big they are. And just for a hint, think Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and the Beverly Hillsbilly truck, right? If you think those 2 things, you might be able to guess. Anyway, once again, I want to thank you all for dropping by to watch and comment and subscribe. Please remember to keep your feet down, your heads up, and get out and enjoy each and every day. Bye now.